What is up, everybody? It's Verse here today. And as we know, one of the biggest games of the year is coming out this week. This Friday, we have Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's Nintendo's newest entry into the Zelda franchise, which the first one did very well, had a huge success. But I have to point out the big hypocrisy in the gaming industry and amongst the gaming community as a whole. Redfall was slammed for the game's performance issues. Now, I'm playing the game. I'm like around at least 13 to 15 hours into the game. I'm having a blast with the game. I think the game is fun. Definitely doesn't deserve a high score, but a 6 out of 10 is probably reasonable for this game. So it's kind of reasonable, but people are doing the most with this. Xbox has one bad game. People are saying that Xbox is done for. The brand is just trash now because there's one bad game. Well, some people are still enjoying it. Like, I'm still enjoying the game. I think the game is fun. But it's going to slam pretty much because of how the character models look, the frame rate, the cutscenes, etc. But the Zelda game, is not going to get any of that criticism whatsoever. This game is going to run 30 frames per second. They were such a big outcry for when Redfall was announced the game is going to be at 30 frames per second. But there's going to be no outcry for Zelda when that game runs at 30 frames per second. People are going to shed tears, be super hyped up to play the Zelda game. And the industry is going to be completely fine with that. This game is probably going to score like a 10 out of 10 across the board. And nobody's going to have an issue with Zelda Tears of the Kingdom running at 30 frames per second. Or if the game is choppy, if the game has glitches and bugs, we won't hear a peep about that. People might post some videos online saying, hey, look at all these glitches in this game, but the game industry as a whole is going to ignore it. But Redfall gets slammed for it. Let's see. Once again, Zelda Breath of the Wild, one of the highest rated games of all time. This game was super buggy. The game was running at 30 frames per second. And even some instances where you play the game, it ran like it is 10 or like 15, probably even 5 frames per second in some instances of the game. But did it score a lower score? Nope. But, you know, Xbox games has to be judged harshly. Now, this is Pokemon Scarlet, a Metacritic score. A 72 on Metacritic, so that's like a 7 out of 10. That's yellow, but it's not that bad. 7 out of 10, still above average. The user score says otherwise. Like the user score says 3.3. So people are not happy with this game. But this game sold like hotcakes. This game sold extremely well. I think this is their highest selling Pokemon game to date. This Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So even if the game, performance-wise, was not up to par, because let's read some of these user scores that was negative. Like, people said this game performed horribly. I still haven't even bought this game yet, and I love the Pokemon series, but that game's performed horribly. The games don't run well, but they still sell extremely well. They don't really get criticized from the industry like that. But Redfall, we gotta shame that game. We gotta say this is the worst game of all time. What is Phil Spencer and Xbox doing over there after releasing these trash games? But Nintendo gets a pass. It is just so blatant when you see the blatant hypocrisy. It's just so obvious when you see the blatant hypocrisy like this. Like, once again, user scores say, hey, let's overwhelm the negative for user scores, but the game industry don't call it out. They're gonna praise Zelda. The game is running at 30 frames per second. Once again, it's not an issue because it's Nintendo. And it's like they're gonna use the dumb excuse because it's on a handheld console that the game has to run at 30 frames per second. It can't run at 60, really. When they're pretty sure you have games on PS Vita running at 60, which is older hardware. Pretty sure you got games running at 60 on the new Steam Deck or the Asus ROG, the newest iteration of the handheld. You got games running at 60 on those, but you know, because it's Nintendo, they get a pass, but nobody calls it out. It's just fascinating. Let's see. This game is fun. I like it, to be honest, but it just looks so bad that it takes all the enjoyment of playing it. The only thing that looks good are the characters and Pokemon models. There's no excuse for this game. It looks so bad. So people are saying the game looks awful. But, you know, they get a pass. There's no excuse for a game to look this bad. This is a billion-dollar company making worse-looking games than solo developers. Awful frame rates, bugs, and glitches. Look I'm just reading a few comments. People are saying the game just plays awful. But, you know, let me see the Metacritic score. It's a 72 out of 100 from Metacritic. You know, the game plays horribly. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, a recent one. Where are the gaming critics at? Why is it still at 86 on Metacritic from the gaming critics, the gaming media? Well, the user score says the game is unoptimized on all platforms, but you know, gaming media says it runs well. Just ridiculous. Last of Us Part 1. This is the PC Metacritic, the one that runs horribly. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see any big websites. I see IGN Adria. I don't know what that even is. Where's the main IGN? Why is the main IGN not covering this? Why are they giving it a low score? No main media sites is covering this. These are all websites I never heard of before. Besides God as a Geek, sure heard of that one. All these other main websites, nowhere to be found talking about this game. But you know, Redfall, everybody have to chime in and give their take on this as the worst game ever. It's just fascinating. But once again, it's like people are going to be hyping up Tears of the Kingdom, but that game's going to run like garbage. It's going to run like straight trash. But you know, it's Zelda, and they have the audacity to raise the price of that game too. But you know, that makes it even worse. Nintendo just out of nowhere raised the price, but nobody cares. As long as it's Zelda, we played that franchise since we were kids, so it gets a pass from the game industry pretty much. And it's just fascinating, like how the game industry just works. It's just blatant hypocrisy, but nobody calls it out. It's just fascinating. But once again, I don't think this game deserves a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. It definitely has a lot of flaws with this game. But if you're going to play Zelda with the flaws it has and give it a 10 out of 10 and just trash Redfall, then you're a complete hypocrite. Like, just call it. You're a hypocrite at that point. But I'm going to include it right here. Definitely want to see your thoughts down below. Leave a like this video. And as always, thanks for watching, and peace.